Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited for today's deep dive. We're going to be talking about ASMR.
Ooh, fun!
Yeah. And we're using an article from Psychology Today by Dr. John Klein. He's a clinical psychologist and a sleep expert.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, you've probably seen all those videos online, right? The whispering, the tapping, the crinkling, all those sounds.
Yeah.
But, have you ever, wondered what's actually happening there?
Right.
Why are some people getting these tingles from these super ordinary sounds? And some people just whatever, it's just noise.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something that has really baffled both scientists and viewers for years. But as more research comes out, I think we're starting to figure out the mysteries of ASMR and its effects on the brain and body.
So, okay, first things first, what is ASMR? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. So basically, think of it as a wave of tingling sensations, and it usually starts in your scalp, and then it moves down your body, and it's triggered by specific sights and sounds.
So it's like a shiver, but a good shiver.
Right.
Not a cold shiver.
Right.
And it's triggered by someone whispering.
Yeah.
Like tapping their nails on a desk.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes ASMR so unique. These sounds can range from soft whispers or gentle movements to crinkling paper or even brushing hair. But the key is that not everyone experiences ASMR. Some people, these sounds are just everyday noises. But for others, they have this distinct, almost euphoric physical response.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a whole spectrum of experience. Some people just feel kind of relaxed, and other people were having intense tingles or even waves of euphoria.
Right. That's one of the things that makes ASMR research so challenging. It's such a subjective experience. But even with all these variations, scientists are starting to find some commonalities, especially when it comes to the trigger.
Okay, so that viral video of the woman brushing her hair.
Still spraying.
And spraying. I remember that.
It seems like a lot of these videos focus on these soft, repetitive sounds. Whispering, personal attention, crisp sounds. Those are some of the most commonly reported triggers. Think about the sounds you might hear during a relaxing interaction with someone, like a hairdresser brushing your hair, or a friend whispering a secret, or even a doctor listening to your heartbeat. Those types of sounds seem to be really effective at eliciting ASMR responses.
So it's not just the sounds themselves, but the context. Our brains are wired to associate those sounds with safety and comfort and relaxation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it kind of connects to a fascinating part of ASMR, the social element. Even though you're usually experiencing it through a screen, a lot of people report feeling a sense of connection or care from the ASMR creator. It's almost like a virtual form of intimacy, where the viewer feels seen and heard and understood.
That's so interesting. So they're providing this feeling of personalized attention.
Yeah.
Even though it's just
a one-way interaction.
Like a digital version of those interactions we were just talking about.
Exactly. And the social element might actually play a big role in why so many people turn to ASMR videos to relax, relieve stress, and even improve their sleep. It's kind of like having a virtual companion who's just dedicated to your well-being, offering these soothing sounds and gentle attention.
But when ASMR was first getting popular, a lot of people were just oh, that's just a weird internet thing. It's just a trend.
Definitely. There's a lot of skepticism, and I get it. It is unique, and it's kind of unusual. But as researchers started to look into it more, they started to find evidence that maybe ASMR is more than a fad.
Yeah, the science is finally catching up to the hype.
Yes. And it's starting to reveal some really interesting things about the benefits of ASMR and how it might be influencing our brains and bodies. For example, there was a study by Barat and Davis in 2015. They found that people who watched ASMR videos had significant reductions in their heart rates, suggesting physiological relaxation response.
Wow. So it's not just a feeling. There's actually something measurable happening.
Right. And this study went even further and explored the types of ASMR videos that were most effective at eliciting these relaxation responses. And what they found was really interesting. Videos that focused on personal attention, like having someone talk directly to the viewer and whispering softly, or engaging in these gentle and caring tasks, tended to be the most potent triggers.
That makes sense. It's going back to that idea of feeling seen and cared for.
Exactly. It suggests that the social component of ASMR might be just as important as like the auditory and visual elements.
Yeah.
But even beyond just relaxation, there's a lot of interest in ASMR's potential for helping with other issues, like sleep problems or even chronic pain.
So it's not just tingles and relaxation. There's like broader application.
Yeah.
This is getting really interesting.
And that's what we're going to dive into next. So one of the most common things people say about ASMR is that it can help with sleep.
Oh, yeah. People swear by it, like it's a lullaby for adults.
Yeah.
But is there actually any science behind that, or is it just like a placebo effect?
Well, in the article, Dr. Klein highlights a study from 2018 by Porio and some other researchers, and they actually looked into this. And they found that watching these ASMR videos led to a decrease in heart rate and an increase in skin conductance.
Wait, back up a second. Skin conductance, what is that?
Okay, so skin conductance, it's basically a measure of our emotional arousal. So like when we get excited or stimulated, our skin's ability to conduct electricity changes slightly. So in the study, the fact that skin conductance increased suggests that the ASMR videos were triggering an actual physiological response. It wasn't just a subjective feeling.
So it's not just in their heads, it's like their body is actually reacting.
Exactly. And this physiological response is probably linked to the relaxation benefits that people talk about. Think about when you're relaxed. Your heart rate slows down, your breathing gets deeper, your muscles loosen up. Seems like ASMR might be doing a similar thing, which would explain why it helps people sleep.
So instead of counting sheep or like stressing about not sleeping, you're giving your brain something to focus on.
Yeah, it's like gently pushing your brain towards sleep mode. And Dr. Klein suggests that ASMR might actually work in a similar way to other relaxation techniques, like meditation. It helps distract you from all those thoughts that keep you up at night.
Oh, yeah.
So by focusing on those gentle sounds and visuals, it gives your mind a chance to quiet down. And you can fall asleep easier.
Right. Instead of being stuck in that loop.
I'm
like,
going to
sleep. I need to sleep. Why can't I sleep? You're giving your brain something soothing, engaging to focus on, like a mental vacation.
Right. And speaking of meditation, there's another interesting connection here. It has to do with something called the default mode network.
The what?
The default mode network.
Default mode network.
Yeah, or DMN for short.
Okay. That sounds complicated.
It might sound complicated, but basically, it's a network of brain regions that's active when we're not focused on a specific task. So it's the part of our brain that's engaged when we're daydreaming or reminiscing or just letting our minds wander.
So it's like chill out mode for our brains.
Exactly. And research has shown that people who experience ASMR might have different patterns of activity in their default mode network compared to people who don't.
Oh, interesting.
So it seems like their brains might be wired for relaxation and sensory processing in a different way.
So it's not just the triggers. It's about how our brains respond to them.
Right.
So some people might be more susceptible to ASMR because of how their default mode network is structured.
Exactly.
So they have a brain that's like pre-programmed for relaxation. But even if we don't understand all the brain stuff, there's more and more evidence that ASMR can have real effects on our well-being.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just sleep. There's also research looking into ASMR's potential for managing stress and even chronic pain. And the early results are really promising.
It's so cool to think that something that started as this weird internet thing could actually help people with their mental and physical health.
I know, it's amazing.
But we've been saying, not everyone experiences ASMR the same way. Some people might even find those sounds annoying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that just shows how important individual differences are. What works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
And that's totally fine. It's all about finding what works for you.
So there's no magic formula for ASMR.
Not really.
Not everyone's gonna
get
the tingles from the same things.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah. It's part of what makes it so fascinating. It shows us that even simple things like sound can be experienced in so many different ways. And but speaking of individual differences, research has also looked into the link between ASMR and personality traits.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Klein mentioned that in his article, something about people who experience ASMR being more open
to new experiences.
Yeah. Studies actually shown that people who experience ASMR tend to score higher on traits like openness to experience and neuroticism.
Okay, so they're more adventurous
and
maybe a little more sensitive, which kind of makes sense if they're the ones getting tingles from whispers. But why would those traits be linked to ASMR?
That's a great question. And it's something researchers are still trying to figure out. But one theory is that people who are more open to new experiences might also be more receptive to unusual sensory input, like ASMR triggers. Their brains might be wired to seek out and enjoy new sensations.
So they're more likely to try new things, like a new food or a weird tingling sensation. Right. And people who are more sensitive might be more in tune with the subtleties of these sounds and visuals, so their brains might be amplifying those sensory signals, which leads to
stronger ASMR experience.
So it's like their brains are made for ASMR. They're more sensitive, more open, and more likely to get those tingles. All this talk about personality and sensory experiences makes me think of synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
You know, where people experience one sense through another, like seeing sounds or tasting colors.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if there's a connection there. Maybe ASMR is like a
Yeah.
type of synesthesia where they're getting these physical sensations from audiovisual triggers. So instead of tasting colors, they're getting tingles from whispers.
That's a really interesting idea. It's definitely something that needs more research. Some researchers think there might be a link between ASMR and synesthesia, but we don't know enough yet.
It makes sense, though. They both involve unusual sensory experiences and like heightened sensitivity. It's like their brains are blurring the lines between different senses.
It's creating these unique and intense experiences.
Yeah. That's a really interesting connection. It highlights how complex and adaptable the human brain is. It also makes you wonder, what's normal when it comes to our senses? What might seem strange to some people could be totally natural and even beneficial for others.
Right.
Which brings us back to what we've been talking about. ASMR is a real thing. There's science to back it up. But it's also very personal and subjective.
Totally.
And as we learn more about this fascinating world, we're going to learn more about how our brains and bodies and our senses all work together. So we've talked about the science and the triggers and the potential benefits. But, like, what does this all mean for like the average person?
Like, what's the takeaway here?
I think it means we might have this really powerful tool for managing our stress. Or improving our sleep. And just feeling better overall.
We don't need anything special for it. Just your phone and some headphones.
Exactly.
And an internet connection.
Yeah.
You can just explore this whole world of sounds and visuals designed to help you relax.
It's true. And it's important to remember, ASMR isn't a replacement for like professional help if you're really struggling.
Right, of course.
As a way to take care of yourself and just relax. It's definitely promising.
Yeah, it's like a secret weapon against the stress of everyday life. So I gotta ask, have you ever experienced ASMR?
I have. I was curious, so I tried a few videos, and I didn't get the full tingles, but I definitely get the appeal. The sounds and visuals were really calming.
Yeah, like a mental massage. But for people who do get the tingles, I'm so curious, what's it actually like? Is it just physical? Or is there like an emotional side to it too?
That's a good question. And it seems to be different for different people. Some people say it's purely physical, just those tingles. But others say they feel comfort or euphoria, even a sense of being cared for.
Wow, that's amazing. Just from sounds, it really makes you think about how powerful our senses are.
It really does. It challenges our ideas about how our senses work and how they affect us.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, what other things are out there? What other experiences haven't we discovered yet?
Right. That's what's so great about science. We're always questioning and pushing boundaries and being open to new things. Who knows? Maybe the next big discovery will come from something as simple as whispering into a microphone.
That's a great point. And to our listeners, we want to know, have you ever experienced ASMR? What triggers work for you? What does it feel like? Head over to our social media and share your experiences. We'd love to hear from you. And maybe your story will inspire our next deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep those tingles coming.